Hi, Sandra Crathern, Inner Vision, health tips for the week. I've just done a really nice couple of minute quiet meditation because I noticed I was on a bit of a rev, the to-do list, do this, do that, do this. And I'd like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get these coming your way regularly. And that's always, I think, it's nice to be motivated, isn't it, and encouraged. And that's what I feel I was put on the planet to do, is just encourage people and motivate them. So today I'm going to explore addiction, which is an area I generally don't speak about very much. Are You Addicted is my title. And I'm noticing, with all the travels that I do to the hospital and so on and so forth, a lot of people and friends and different people sharing that people are using things more and more to ease their discomfort. So maybe they're eating a lot more and put on a lot of weight, or they're drinking a lot more, or smoking more, or over exercising more, or whatever. And I think that's understandable, isn't it? We sort of can get diverted from difficulties with things that give us pleasure, I guess. But where is the line when addiction kicks in? And I think only individual people know in their heart if they're addicted to things. My question would be, what were you like before COVID? Did you have an issue with food and weight and smoking and drinking and over exercise? And the chances are it hasn't just arrived due to COVID if you have got addiction, and it has most probably escalated since you've come to the COVID period, I would imagine, for a lot of people. My husband says to me, "Oh, I could eat a whole bar of chocolate, and sometimes does that mean I've got addiction?" I said, "No, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I personally have been quite riddled with addiction, really. First of all, I think it was smoking, and then weight issues and undereating and overeating and binging and so on and so forth. Alcohol I had issues with as well. I then went into over-exercise to try and control my weight, and other different behaviours that I'm not going to go into here. But definitely I think I was cross-addicted. So, and what's wonderful, if you do notice that you've got some sort of addiction, is there's pretty much a recovery group that will support you in that, and they are wonderful. Obviously AA for alcohol is the one people often know, and there's Narcotics Anonymous, and there's one for food, which is one that I'm in, which I've had issues with. And I haven't overeaten or binged or been unhappy with my weight in the last year, or the last 18 years actually, but the last year particularly my weight hasn't changed, and I haven't sought to go to food or anything like that as a comfort. So maybe have a stop and a think, and maybe do a little bit of quiet time and ask yourself, okay, do I really think that this is something that I am finding challenging? I mean, workaholism is a big one, I think, for a lot of people at the moment, and they're maybe doing, really quite addicted to their work. I was a bit of a doaholic, I think, and I still can fall under that umbrella. So maybe stop and have a think about it and ask yourself, could I do with some help possibly? That's quite a big surrender, isn't it, to ask for help? I didn't think I was that bad. And that's often the denial is quite interesting. Lots of people say, oh, well, they smoke more or drink more or eat more or blah, blah. But actually, in our heart of hearts, I think we often have a bit of an inkling. So ask yourself, is there an area? And I didn't even know there was recovery programs for Under Earners Anonymous. And I'm sure there'll be one any minute for computer addiction, because I think a lot of people go on games constantly, don't they? But in my understanding, people are generally a little bit cross-addicted. So if they have got an issue in one area, they might notice they've got an issue in another. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're using anything for comfort and it makes you feel better, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes there is a line that we step over, and we might need some support and help, especially if it's affecting our health. For me, I would have been most probably would be morbidly obese by now if I'd have carried on eating like I did, or maybe started to drink a bit too heavily, and certainly smoking would have affected my breathing and my lungs. So if it is affecting your health in any way, and you're maybe not sleeping well, and your body's affected somehow with anxiety or stress, then maybe look into it. You can always check out a recovery program, and they're online and on Zoom and so on at the moment, so that does help people. So have a think about it. And if you're using any substance or anything really, whether it be food or work or any activity, then maybe stop and give yourself time to think about, okay, do I really need to do this? Or am I doing it to distract from being in the present moment? So it's a long one today, but I sometimes think addressing these things is quite useful just to give us a little bit of insight. So I wish you well. And if you can get some help and support, great. And if you don't need that help and support, great. Just be mindful of what you are doing that you feel maybe you're doing a bit too much.